Hello there. It is now inevitable that Keir Starmer will be sliding out of the door of number 10 very, very soon. Number 10 has made an oath to protect the soon-to-be ejected Prime Minister Keir Starmer from all attempts to oust him. But all that has happened is that Starmer has put himself up as a political punchbag. And given his prowess at the fine art of pugilism, I can't see him fighting off a wet paper bag, let alone the likes of contenders like Wes Streeting, Shabana Mahmood, Andy Burnham, Angela Rayner and even Ed Miliband. Maybe Starmer needs to sack Larry the Cat from his post as Chief Mouser to the Cabinet Office, just in case he gets ideas above his station. This Prime Minister, with one of the largest majorities in history, is losing his grip. And day by day, his authority over his own party and backbenchers, and therefore across the country and internationally, diminishes. The end is nigh. Who needs the traitors when we've got this going on? And while Starmer clings on to power, the future of the country and its citizens get more and more ignored by government. Now, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing is very debatable. Now, a lot of this number 10 defensive action appears to have been aimed squarely at the Health Secretary Wes Streeting, for some reason or other. Maybe because he's acknowledged as a bit of a public relations master. Get rid before he can bring that skill to bear for a leadership challenge. Might that be the idea? And as a result, Starmer, or at least the number 10 machine, has now come under direct attack from Wes Streeting, who has branded the number 10 attempts to silence any and all opposition as both toxic and juvenile. As a result of all this hoo-ha, the PM has been forced into ordering an inquiry to find out who has been doing all this backdoor briefing with a view to sacking them from the number 10 team. With fingers being pointed firmly at Starmer's Chief of Staff, Gordon McSweeney. And the PM is facing calls from opposition benches and his own side for him to sack his Chief of Staff. Now, as I understand it, the PM has apologised privately to Streeting about any such briefing that might have come from his number 10 staff. And Streeting has said that he doesn't think any of this is coming from the Prime Minister himself. Now, a quick interjection. Most of you watching right now aren't subscribed. So here's what you need to do after liking this video. Press the subscribe button, then hit the little bell and select all. And ensure your YouTube app is set to accept notifications. That way you'll get every single video the moment we release it. And if you don't, you're gonna miss out. Now, Wes Streeting was at an NHS providers conference in Manchester where he said, "The bizarre thing about some juvenile briefing overnight is it's people in number 10 who've said the Prime Minister is fighting for his job. Now, I don't think that's a helpful or constructive thing to say. I also don't think it's true." As a result, the Health Secretary's street cred has risen substantially. Here's the odds from yesterday on who is next in line for the throne. Wes Streeting, suddenly in first place at 14.7%, followed by Andy Burnham with 11.5%. Then Angela Rayner, never write the Union's favourite off, with 9.3%. And Shabana Mahmood in fourth place with 7.3%, and Ed Miliband in fifth place with 4.3%. Although I do notice today that Yvette Cooper may have supplanted Ed Miliband in fifth place. But looking at any of those names, does it fill you with any confidence at all for the future of the UK under a Labour government? The only comforting factor here is that David Calamity Lammy sits way back in 8th place. For the moment at least. Now, in order to stay relevant, Ed Miliband, the nut zero part of government, has stepped forward and told the Prime Minister to sack any of his staff who have been spouting any of this drivel about the PM will defend himself against any coup. Although many people are saying that Starmer should fire Miliband, straight after sacking his Chancellor Rachel Reeves. And it seems that despite the Betfair odds, it is Wes Streeting, Shabana Mahmood and Ed Miliband who are foremost in the number 10 minds as the most likely plotters of any coup against Starmer. But as I said in last night's live stream, I'm wondering if some of the number 10 staff are trying this none too subtle approach to actually unseat their own boss. Maybe they see Starmer as too right-wing for their liking. Maybe they're trying to engineer a scenario for a credible hopeful on the left-hand side of the party to step forward and upset the apple cart. Or maybe use it as a warning shot to keep Starmer on the left-hand side of the road. Who knows? All I see is a PM coming under heavier pressure by the day. Not from any particular single source, but from across the spectrum. And the question is, can he survive this? And every time he bumps into the press, the only questions he will be asked is about this very topic of a potential coup. After all, we all know that the press has little interest in much else to do with politics, don't we? While in 2 weeks' time we expect to see Rachel Reeves clutch her red dispatch box in front of number 11 before scuttling off to the green benches to dole out the economic medicine that she claims will mend the nation. I think it's at that point that the country will come to a shuddering halt in the realisation that this shower of shits is not the answer to the UK's problems. It's the answer to everything as far as the unions and the internationalist woke communists are concerned. Except maybe that Starmer is not red enough. But for the average Brit, they're a disaster. Just like all governments from the past 3 or more decades, whether they be red or blue or tinged with yellow. It's becoming clear that the Prime Minister is stuck between doing what his backbenchers want and what the wider country wants. And the response from this government will probably be to double down on the woke, as the Labour backbenchers who would vote the PM down in a vote of no confidence demand more anti-UK, anti-wealth, anti-aspiration measures be adopted for equality and diversity purposes. Labour backbenchers care not for the majority of the population. For them, the majority are just far-right thugs. And that is when the calls from the majority of us for a general election will start in real earnest and become more strident by the day. That is when the PM might be forced to go to the country rather than be ousted by his own party in a vote of no confidence, or in the face of a leadership challenge maybe. After all, number 10 has briefed that they will go all the way to protect Starmer's position, haven't they? And calling a general election is the final gambit, albeit a self-destructive one today. But maybe the petty thinking is that if Starmer can't stay in number 10, then no one else in Labour can either. Things are getting very interesting. Finally, please like, subscribe and comment below, and a big shout out to our channel membership and Patreon supporters, and thank you for watching.